Hello, my sinners, and welcome to the very first episode of H3VR Reloads. Now, in this series, I will be going over a couple of different reloads I have learned for every single gun type in H3VR or hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. This will be unedited, so each video will probably take about, 30 minutes to film. And if it all goes according to plan, I'll have one smooth recording, so let's hope for the best. So as you can see on my frozen screen right now, we have three different pistol types. A semi-automatic pistol, which has a magazine that goes into the grip like the 1911. The magazine loading pistols that load from the front of the gun, like the Bergmann, and the stripper clip pistols that mainly use a stripper clip system to load from the top, like the Mauser. Now let's get right into the reloads. So first things first, let's start with the 1911. This is one of the most well-known handguns in the US from what I understand, simply because it's a very historic weapon. Now before we even get into reloading this thing and firing it, there's one thing I need to teach you all that many people don't know when they first start. You can take these magazines, put them into your inventory slots, which you should have on your waist area. It might be hard to see on certain maps like this. And then once you have this selected, I'm on Oculus Rift S right now, so this is more for Oculus Rift S users. For any other users, you should try the sampler platter to learn the controls of your guns. But for Oculus Rift S or Quest users, you just click down on that movement stick, and at first it'll make this little beam when you point it at stuff, and this allows you to grab items. But that's not the important part. Sorry, just had to pause there for a second. But that's not even the important part. The important part is that you can click down your thumbstick while hovering over a magazine in your slot, and it turns blue on the outline. And what this does is allows you to spawn lock it. And this means that you will get an infinite number of these. So now that I have spawn locked this, I could keep grabbing them out of there. But now let's get on to the reloads. For a semi-automatic pistol that loads from the grip, like the 1911 here, the way to reload it is after firing, you're seeing through my left eye, so it might not look good. After reloading, the gun will usually cock back like this, and the slide will get stuck on this slide release. Now you can manually release the slide release, or, like on Oculus Rift S, you move left with the thumbstick, click, and then move down towards the very bottom. And what that does is releases that slide lock. So once again, on that thumbstick, you move left. You can't see it moving. Click while you're in the left position, and then move it down. And that releases the slide catch. Very useful. Also, if you want to catch the slide again for easier loading, you cock it all the way back. And this time, instead of clicking left and then going down, you click to the left and then go up. And that locks it in place. So once again, with the thumbstick, you go left, click, up to lock that in place for easier reloading. Most handguns will automatically do this, but some may not. So now that we've gotten that over with, and you know how to use that, it is very useful. We need to get this magazine out of here. Let's put it back to the way it was before. We need to get this magazine out of here. What most people would do is try and grab it out, but as you can see, that doesn't work very well. It's impossible. And it actually tells you on this little screen right here, this is your hide the weapons page. Up here, it tells you the basic controls. As you can see right there, eject magazine down. So that is move your thumbstick down and click. And that ejects the magazine. Now once more, you move your thumbstick down and then click. And then, once you have removed the magazine, grab the new one, slotted it in, and then release the slide catch, and you're ready to fire. There you go. One last note for these kind of pistols is when you reload the magazine, you don't have to use the shortcut if you don't want to. Two other options are pressing trigger. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. I thought that was an option. Okay. So your only other option is to do that. You just grab on the slide, pull it back, and let go. And there you're covered. And I only get 6 rounds out of that. I freaking love the 1911 just because it's so simplistic. Now, moving on again, if I can get this out of my inventory. Moving on again, we have the mag loader type of semi-auto pistol, like the Bergmann here. This is a Bergmann No. 5 pistol. I love Bergmann. It's a great brand that doesn't exist anymore. It is also very simple to load these. All you have to do is take your magazine, slide it in, and most of these will have this kind of thing where you can grab on to the front and pull back the slide. For the Bergmann, it's this little section right back here. And now, you're ready to fire. On some of these kind of pistols, you can eject the magazine. On others, maybe not. Now, when it comes to the Bergmann, you cannot do the quick slide release like you can for those kind of pistols. For this, you actually have to grab onto the back and then let go. And now it's ready to fire again. Let me just, oh, wait, you can't decock the... You can't decock the hammer? What? I totally thought you could. Okay. Oh, shoot, I totally forgot about the safety. So, for this kind of weapon, up is the safety. For pistols, semi-auto pistols, pushing up and then clicking is the safety. So now it can't fire, but if I put that back down... You get the point. That's pretty much it for the mag loaders. But now we move on to the stripper clips. Let me just readjust my position here for this. Sorry, I was kind of slouching in my chair. It's kind of late. So these are the stripper clip loading pistols. These are... Sorry, my retainer is cutting into my tongue. These are one of the most complex kind of semi-auto pistols because of the way they load. Now, when it comes to the Mauser or something like it, what I just did, as you could probably see, was I just put it into the slot where the, I don't remember what this is called is, and you just grab and push down, and boom, they're in. But here's the thing. You can just pull the slide back to release that stripper clip out of there. And I will have to spawn lock this one. And now you're ready to fire. so that holds 10 rounds. When it comes to the Mauser, once you're done firing, and you put a new stripper clip in, this gets stuck back like that. You have to put new rounds in it for it to go back. And here's the thing. You could take the stripper clip out and the bolt would snap forward. Or just do that and you're ready to fire. Once again, safety is up on the thumbstick and click. And that's about it. That's pretty much all I have to say. Now, you can't see, but I'm looking at my recording software. We have been recording 10 minutes, so I think we should move on to revolvers. Let me just clear my workspace here. Wonderful. That's a dev reference if you don't know. Let's move on to revolvers. Revolvers are a special category. There's a couple different kinds. Let's grab one of these. Let's grab one of these. And one of these. Let me just... Okay. Now, we'll start with one of the lesser known but oldest kinds of revolvers. In fact, it was one of the first revolvers ever made, and one of the first kind of firearms after the black powder muzzle loading weapons of the 1800s. When these were introduced, it was great. This is a more modernized version of what is now referred to as a single action revolver. The reason it's called a single action is because you physically have to pull the hammer back, cock it, and fire. And what these had is, if I spawn lock this, oh, right. This is also extremely important for weapons which have singular ammunition, like these. You can grab multiple of something or one of something, and if you press up on the thumbstick and click while hovering over a spot with bullets already in it, or an empty spot, it deposits those. And you can keep doing that with spawn locked rounds. So now that we have that, I believe this is a 5-shot, so I'll put one off. I just did left. So you press left and then click down, and that opens the ejection port, I guess I could say. For this, it says release cylinder, and that's for newer revolvers, like this Python. But for these old-timey ones, you gotta load it through a little hatch. Now you take your rounds after left and clicking down to open that little port, and you pop one in. But now what? How do you rotate the cylinder? Well, you go right on the thumbstick and click. Insert. One more time. Insert. Another one. Insert. And the last round, the fifth and final. Insert. Now you can close that chamber. Cock it by going down on the thumbstick and clicking. And you're ready to fire. I like to imagine they have recoil to make it harder to shoot. So if you want to get better with shooting, you can't act like they don't have recoil. So that was my 5 shots. Now, the interesting about these revolvers is how you reload them. You may have noticed this strange thing sticking out of it. and how it has a rod with a spring around it through this little tube. What that does is when you open that port again and either press trigger on it, it ejects a shell. What it does is, in real life, this is a plunger that you push and it shoves the cartridge out, the empty cartridge, so you can load another one. The common practice is to do that and then load a shell, and then do that and then load a shell. And it's very, very cool. I love these revolvers. But anyway, you don't have to click this with trigger. This trigger, not that trigger, if you don't want to. What you can do instead, and it is so freaking neat, you can just press your trigger that's holding the gun. I just found this out today, and it is so useful for reloading. So now you can empty all of them, and then boom. Quick reload. Quick and easy, actually. Now note, with single actions, you do have to cock the revolver after every shot. It may get a little bit repetitive, but it's worth it, because these things pack a punch. And I almost wonder if I can utilize a old single action revolver reload I saw in Fallout New Vegas, where after firing all the rounds, what they do is they open the port and then go like this. Oh, well, I missed 2 spots because I guess I mixed those up. Let's try that again, shall we? Okay. So let's say these are all empty shell casings. What they do is they pop one out and then immediately put a new one in. Rotate, pop. Ha ha ha! Nice. One last thing for these old style revolvers and new ones. As you can see right there, it says hold to enable spinning. What that is with these kind of revolvers, you have to go up on the thumbstick and click. And then gravity and momentum will do the rest. I love the spinning because you can do some really cool stunts with reloading and stuff too. Now moving on, as I'm going over my limit, we move on to newer revolvers, specifically speed loaders. First, God, it's cutting into my tongue again. Okay, first, let's start with this, which is a Webley, I believe. Webley revolver, yep. How this one works is you do not have the cylinder come out. It breaks in half like a shotgun, and then you just flip it back up with momentum to close it. So you take your speed loader, you literally just that. It's so easy. And you're ready to fire. And as this is a double action revolver, I don't need to cock the hammer back to fire it. Though it does sometimes help. Now with these are really easy because just opening the cylinder ejects all the empty shell casings. These are not hard to reload at all, really. They're very simple. They are hard to aim sometimes though, as I've found. Okay, let's get this out of the way. For our final revolver. Our final revolver, which is the Python, is the most modern kind of revolver you can find. These are double action or single action, because some do require you to pull back the hammer with the thumbstick, like in real life, while others, you can just pull the trigger, like this Python. How this gun works, though, is different to the Webley, in that the cylinder folds out like that. And then you use your speed loader, pop them all in, close it back up, and you're ready to fire. And now, here's the tricky part. To empty these cylinders, you can either yank it back, and that'll eject the shells, or, as you can see this little rod, you press trigger on it, and it ejects them. And it uses this little thing right here. This overlaps the bullets a tiny bit, so that when you put them in, this part sticks out a tiny bit more. You can barely see the outline. So when you push on that plunger, this entire section with the star piece comes up and pushes the shells out. It's really neat. But now, that pretty much concludes episode 1. I'll see you guys for episode 2, and maybe even some tips and tricks later on. Bye, sinners.